People sometimes oppose the reshoring of production back to the United States on the grounds that there's no point moving back to the US production of goods like t-shirts and toys and other kinds of low value items. Now, this is actually perfectly true, but reshoring of primitive industries like that would not and should not be part of any rational future US industrial policy. So, if you say that, the question then is, okay, what kind of industries should the US be trying to protect or reshore? So, one way to figure this out is if you start with the major goods categories in which the US ran a trade deficit in, say, first quarter of 2025. So you have machinery for $77.9 billion, followed by jewelry and precious metals at $71.4 billion, followed by electronics, vehicles, pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals, clothing, furniture, iron and steel, rubber, beverages, and the list goes on. I'll put it on the screen in a second. So take that as your start, and now let's winnow this list by taking out first raw materials, then take out products like clothing that are generally produced with low productivity, low wage labor. And for products like electronics that have both a low productivity final assembly stage, like those factories for iPhones in Foxconn City and Shenzhen, with all these people sitting in rows and rows and rows of people in a factory assembling iPhones, and high productivity component manufacturing. That's like the chips that TSMC is now being persuaded to manufacture in Arizona. For electronics that have both a high productivity and a low productivity step in the supply chain, eliminate the low productivity step. Now, if you apply that logic to the list, the implication you get is that the U.S. should reshore significant production in industries such as machinery, electronics, motor vehicles, pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals, steel, medical instruments, and aluminum. And then you can add to that other products with particular relevance to national security and health, such as, we got aluminum, so you add copper, rare earths, active pharmaceutical ingredients, which is the stuff that drugs are made out of, and their chemical precursors, and generic drugs. A lot of this stuff is now coming from China or India. We discovered during COVID that there are gags in these supply chains, and we couldn't get necessary pharmaceuticals. That stuff needs to come back to the United States. Now, after that, you add to the list important products of the future, many of which are at risk of never being produced in the U.S. at all unless industrial policy, proactively ensures that they are. Now, lists of industries of the future sounds like a hard thing to figure out. It's actually not. There are a lot of entities, institutions put out lists. There's one you can get from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. And the list I'm looking at includes new materials, robotics, quantum devices, like for quantum computing, semiconductors, biotechnology, green energy technologies, space launch, that's like SpaceX and so forth, energy storage, that's like advanced batteries so that you can have green energy when the sun's not shining, and hypersonic vehicles, which the military significance alone makes this stuff necessary. So if you reshore or gain for the first time high productivity industries like that, you're necessarily going to raise our economy's average productivity, and thus you're going to create more high productivity jobs than would otherwise have existed. The classic image people have of this is moving workers from flipping hamburgers to assembling cars. Vice versa, going the other way is when your economy is deteriorating. Now, other things being equal, high productivity jobs are necessarily high wage jobs, so this would increase the incomes of American workers. Now, here's the kicker. To get this benefit from increased manufacturing output, the U.S. doesn't even need to increase the number of manufacturing jobs. The reason this is true is if manufacturing output grows without any job gains, This necessarily means more output per job, and lo and behold, productivity has gone up. As I said, that's what you want. So, conclusion we reach is that the optimal U.S. economy would definitely have a higher manufacturing GDP share, but it might or might not have a larger manufacturing employment share. We are better off either way.